शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्वजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगदः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरधाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ട തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for accommodating the half an hour time change for today. All right, so we'll do a quick review of 10. So, Aarti, can you do one half? And Suganya, can you do one half? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Ramesh ji, I couldn't revise Rajesh ji last time. Apologize.
Okay.
Could
Anu,
I take next week? Sorry.
Anu, can you do the second half? Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Aarti, go ahead. You do the first 5 stanzas.
Yeah. Om Krishnaya Namaha. वैकुण्ठवर्तित बलोत भवत्प्रसादात् अम्बोजयो निसृजत् किल जीवदेहान् स्तास्नूनि भूरुः मयानि तथात् तिरश्चां जातिं मनुष्य निवहानपि देवभेदान् मत्या गृहास्मि मिथ्या गृहास्मि मतिराग विकोप भीतिः अज्ञानवृत्तिमिति पञ्चविधां सृष्ट्वा उदाम तामस पदार्थविदानूनः तेने तद्दीय चरन् स्मरणं विशुद्धयै तावत् ससर्ज मनसा सनकं सनन्दं भूय सनातन मुनिं च सनत्कुमारं ते सृष्टिकर्मणि तु तेने नियुज्यमानाः त्वत्पादभक्ति सरसिका जुहन् वाणीं.
The last line, Rasika, Bhakti Rasika.
Bhakti Rasika Gruhanurvanim Tavat Prakopa Muditam Pratiruddha Tosya Brumat Yato Janim Brudu Bhavat Kadesheha Bhavade Kadeshaha Namani me Guru Padani Chaha Vrichet Yadaurat Roda Kilathena sa Rudranama Ekadahakyataya cha Vibhinna Rupam Rudram Vidaya Dayatha Panitasya Datta Tavan Yata Datta cha Padani Bhavat Pranunaha Praha Prajavirachanaya cha Sadaram tam.
Yeah, first line, first word. Ekadashahvayataya.
Ekadashahvayataya cha Vibhinna Rupam.
Yeah. Anu, go ahead, yeah.
I finished.
Yeah, you're done, yeah. Anu.
Yeah.
So from Rudrabhi, right?
Yeah.
Rudrabhi Srishta Bhayatakriti Rudrasanga Sampuryamana Bhuvanatraya Pida Chedaha Mama Prajashruja Tabaschara Mangalaye Tyachashtatam Kamala Purva Vadiridatma Tasyada Sarga Rasikasya Marichiratrihi Tatrangirah Kradumunif Pulahaf Pulastayaha Angadajayata Braguscha Vashishtadakshav Srinaradascha Bhagavan Bhavatangridasaha Dharmadikan Abhisrujannata Kartamam cha Vanim Vidaya Vidirangaja Sangulobhut Twatpoditaisa Nagadaksha Mukaistanujaihi Utpodidascha Virarama Tamo Vimunchan Vedan Purana Nivahana Bisarva Vidyaha Kurvan Nijananakkanat Chadurana Nosav Putreshu Deshu Vinitayasa Sarkavrittim Aprapnuvam Stava Padambu Jamashritu Bhut.
Third line, middle word. Vinidhaya. Putreshu Deshu Vinidhaya.
Vinitayas Sarkavrittim.
And dha, second dha in Sanskrit. Vinidhaya.
Oh, Thaya, not da.
Dha.
Vinitaya.
Yeah, the DH, dha, Vinidhaya.
Okay. Jananannu Bhayamadate Hamajo Vibhajya Stripum Sapavamabhajanmanun Tatvatupyam Tapyam cha Manushakulani Vivatyayam Stvam Govinda Maruda Puresha Niruntirogan.
The first word, Matanu.
Yes.
Janan Nupayamata.
Janan Nupayamata.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. We had finished about 6 stanzas of Dasakam 11. So we'll start with stanza 7. So let me see who I had today. Bhuvana, you can be a student, and there's a not yet on. Okay, Vidya, you can be a student. Okay, so stanza 7.
Rajesh, Vidya Medal or
Vidya Medal, sorry.
Okay.
Stanza 7. त्वधीह्य भृत्या बत काश्यपातौ सुरारिवीराबुदितौ दितौ द्वौ सन्ध्यासमुत्पादन कष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाभिवान्यौ. So we already spoke about what happened with Jaya and Vijaya last time. So I won't rehash that, right? So essentially, the Sanat Kumaras end up going to Vaikuntham, they're blocked, and then through Samramba Yogena, and we'll see that a little bit more detail as we go through Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, and all of them as to what that Samramba Yogena is, what that Margam is, right? So that story ends there for now. So now, time passes. So now we're going to come to a different story that is happening and how this gets connected. So, Daksha, who comes from Brahma, like we just, whoever chanted 10 second half, it says, Dharma Dikan Abhisujannata Kardamam Cha in that stanza 8. It also talks about Daksha and everybody getting born as Prajapatis from Brahma, right? So this Daksha Prajapati, his daughter Diti, is married to sage Kashyapa, who's the son of Marichi. Marichi is one of the sages who came, and we talked about all the 10 sages, including Sri Narada, who came. So, but like I said, these are not necessarily children. So you can't say how can cousins marry each other. They're not like they're all coming. They're energy forms which are coming from Brahma. Just because they came from Brahma doesn't mean they become like brothers, right? But anyway, so this Daksha, his daughter Diti, is getting married to Kashyapa, who's the son of Marichi. Marichi was there. Now the story goes that this Diti, one day, it so happens that in the evening time, she feels like she needs to have a children with Kashyapa. So she approaches Kashyapa and she puts a request. And there's a long, detailed conversation that happens in Bhagavatam, but in Narayaneeyam, it's very quickly condensed. But essentially, what she comes and says is that her other co-sisters like Aditi and others who are married to Kashyapa have already gotten children. Kashyapa is a Prajapati too, so he's also supposed to grow the population. And Diti feels incomplete that she does not have any child, and somehow she has all these desires in her to join, to get into a union with Kashyapa and have children right now, right? So at that time, Kashyapa warns her, saying that this is Sandhya Kalam, this is Kalam time in the evening, which is dedicated to Lord Shiva. It's a Pradosha Kalam in the evening at that time. So this is the time which is supposed to be spent praying to Lord Shiva. So he agrees that I am responsible for growing the population. I agree that you need to have children as well, and you have these desires. But he requests that we delay this union for a couple of muhurtams, about 48 minutes. He says, let's delay this, right? But like fate might have, she really feels that she needs to have a child right now, right? And she has to get into union with Kashyapa. So they get into a union. So when they get into a union at that time, after that, then that's when Diti actually realizes what a mistake she made. So she's very worried about what is going to happen to the children who are going to be born to her. So Kashyapa says, we made a lot of mistakes right now. This is not the time to have done it. I was in the middle of these prayers, but I still obliged to your request. But so because of this, the kids who are going to be born to you are going to be extremely evil kids who are going to go and just create havoc all over the world. However, because of all the tapas and everything you have done, the blessing is going to be that they are actually going to be gotten rid of by an incarnation of Bhagavan. So Diti is very happy. She says, at least, even though they might have do all these atrocities, at the end of the day, they are going to die at the hands of Bhagavan, which means they are one step closer to getting liberated. So that's what is happening in this conversation between Diti and Kashyapa. So because of that, they get two children who are born as twins. So here Bhattadipat says very beautifully, Yamaucha lokasya Yama Vivanyo. Two Yamas are coming. One Yama refers to being twins. So twins are being born who are like Yama to the rest of the world, which means who are going to go and create destruction all over the world. So two children are born to Diti and Kashyapa here. Tvadiya Bhrityavat Kashyapatau, Surari Veera Uditau Ditau Dvau Sandhya Samutpadana Kashta Cheshtau, Yamaucha Lokasya Yamabhivanyau. Twadhiya Bhrityavata Kashyapatau Surari Veera Uditau Ditau Dvau Sandhya Samutpadana Kashta Cheshtau Yamaucha Lokasya Yamabhivanyau.
त्वदीयभृत्या वदकाश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरा उदितौ त्वौ सन्ध्या समुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ त्वदीयभृत्या वदकाश्यपातौ सुरारिवीरा उदितौ त्वौ सन्ध्या समुत्पादनकष्टचेष्टौ यमौ च लोकस्य यमाविवान्यौ.
Rajeshji, this is Kashyapat or Kashyapat?
The name is Kashyapa.
Kashyapat.
Because it is born to Kashyapa, it is Kashyapato.
Okay. Tvadiya Bhrutyavata Kashyapatau Surari Veera Uditau Dvau Sandhya Samutpadana Kashta Yamau cha Lokasya Yamavivanyau Tvadiya Bhrutvavata Kashyapatau Surari Veera Uditau Dvau Sandhya Samutpadana Kashta Yamau cha Lokasya Yamavivanyau.
The first line, Tvadiya Bhrityavata.
Tvadiya Bhrutyavata.
Yeah. Sounds right. Hiranyapurvah Kashipuh Kilaikaha Paro Hiranyaksha iti Pratitaha Ubhau Bhavannathamashesha Lokam Rusha Nyarundham Nijavasanandhau. So when Diti was pregnant, see, generally when women are pregnant, they have a lot of tejas in them. They're just glowing, right? Because the child which is coming from the embryo, that child's stem cells are feeding the woman, and the woman gets much more, what do you call, glowing or looking very good. Hair grows really well, all of those stuff, right? But in Diti's case, it is just darkness everywhere. So the entire world is just kind of indicating some bad things that are going to be happening. So at this time, these devas all get very worried and they all go to Brahma and say, what is happening? Like Diti, something is going wrong here. So Brahma says, yes, the kids who are going to be born to torment the rest of the world. So it's just an indicator. So 2 children are born to them, right? Twins are born. The first one's name is Hiranyaksha. The second one is Hiranyakashipu. So the way it is very clearly said is the one who was conceived first, which is considered as the first child, is Hiranyakashipu. The one who came out first, which is always the second child, which comes out first in a twin's case, was Hiranyaksha. So Hiranyakashipu was the older one, Hiranyaksha is the younger one, and both of these children are born. And these children, when they are born, and remember at this time there's no earth. So you kind of have to remember that this is happening in a different one of the 14 upper worlds. Because Manu manages all of this, and Kashyapa and Diti are, directly from Brahma. So this is all happening in a higher, different realm altogether. So these 2 beings, when they are born, they have unusually long, massive sizes, and they are extremely strong, when they are born. And when they grow up, they become even more stronger. And both of these beings get up getting all kinds of boons from Brahma, right? And primarily, this is going to first only talk about Hiranyaksha. But Hiranyaksha then, goes about, and then he gets very strong, and they go and take over all the worlds. So what that means is, they are essentially going and they can go fight with anybody they want. So they go to Swargaloka, they go fight with Indra, they take over Swargaloka. They go to all these different worlds and then they start tormenting everybody there and taking over control of all of them because they're extremely powerful. So Hiranya Purvaha, put a ich, Purvah, Kashipuhu, again ich ha sound, Kashipuh Kilaikaha, Paro Hiranyaksha iti Pratitaha. Ubhau Bhavannatham Ashesha. I'm just breaking at that ma. Bhavannatham Ashesha Lokam, Rusha Nyarundham Nija Vasanandhau. Hiranyapurvah Kashipuh Kilaikah Paro Hiranyaksha iti Pratitah Ubhau Bhavannathamashesha Lokam Rusha Nyarundham Nijavasanandhau.
हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथम् अशेषलोकं रुषाण्यरुन्दां निजवासनान्दौ हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथम् अशेषलोकं रुषाण्यरुन्दां निजवासनान्दौ
हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं रुषाण्यरुन्धा निजवासनान्धौ हिरण्यपूर्वः कशिपुः किलैकः परो हिरण्याक्ष इति प्रतीतः उभौ भवन्नाथमशेषलोकं रुषाण्यरुन्धा निजवासनान्धौ.
तयोर्हिरण्याक्ष महासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वाद् विनदन् गधावान्. Like we said, they both get boons from Brahma. Now, the boon that you all know that Hiranyakashipu gets, which is I should not be killed during day, night, that has not yet happened. That's all going to happen only much later. So these are still earlier boons they have gotten from Brahma, which makes them very strong. So they go around, like we said, Hiranyakashipu is the elder brother, but Hiranyaksha wants to always please his elder brother. So he's kind of going around and then taking control over everything and then, ruling over all the different worlds with support from Hiranyakashipu. And eventually he goes and then there's no other place to be conquered, right? So he's kind of conquered all the upper worlds and then he's now beginning to go into the other lower regions as well, which is coming in the next stanza. Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro, Ranaya Dhavannana Vapta. So Dhavannana Vapta Vairi Bhavat Priyam Kshmam. So it's just a half ksha there. Kshmam Salile Nimajya, Chachara Garvad Vinadan Gadavan. Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendro Ranaya Dhavannana Vairi Bhavat Priyam Kshmam Salile Nimajya Chachara Garvad Vinadan Gadavan.
तयोर्हिरण्याक्ष महासुरेन्द्रो रणायतावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वात् विनदन् गदावान् तयोर्हिरण्याक्ष महासुरेन्द्रो रणायदावत् ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वात् विनदन् गदावान्
तयोर्हिरण्याक्ष महासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वाद् विनदन् गदावान् तयोर्हिरण्याक्ष महासुरेन्द्रो रणाय धावन्ननवाप्तवैरी भवत्प्रियां क्ष्मां सलिले निमज्य चचार गर्वाद् विनदन् गदावान्.
ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य भभ्राम गवेशयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्यः सकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश. So finally this Hiranyaksha then goes to this place called Vibhavari, which is in one of the lower worlds where Lord Varuna resides, where he rules over some of the lower planetary regions. We spoke for the 14 worlds, right? This is one of the lower worlds there. So he goes to Vibhavari, he says, I have defeated everybody else who is to be defeated. So he goes and tells Varuna, I want to battle with you. Now Varuna is smart enough to say that there's no use battling with this Hiranyaksha. Varuna is not going to be able to win. So he tells, for a great person like you, battling with somebody like me who's not strong is of no value. He says there's only one person who you can battle with. See, he actually says, who can I win with? So Varuna says there's this Narayana who's supposed to be very powerful. So he says, you go seek after him. You go look for him because he's the right person for you to battle with, and there's nobody else for you to win. You already won over everybody else, and that Narayana is the only one. So Hiranyaksha now goes seeking Narayana to say, who is this Narayana who is stronger than me that I want to go fight with? So here Bhaktipada ends with, you who is only Bhaktaika Drishya. So this Varuna is, Hiranyaksha is going seeking. So this is that subtle difference I was telling you all about, that Samramba Yogena and the Bhakti Margam, right? Is when you are in Bhakti Margam, you are saying, I want to go reach Narayana. And then what do? You have a single-minded, ekagra chitti. You have only one thing in your life. It will be to say, I want to go attain that Bhagavan. I'm going to go seeking that Bhagavan, right? That is the Bhakti Margam. But you're doing it with love. Here, what Hiranyaksha is doing is he has only one motive in his life right now, which is he has to go meet that Bhagavan, which is no different than the Bhakti Margam, right? Both of them have the same end goal. He wants to meet that Bhagavan, but he wants to go meet Bhagavan to fight Bhagavan, right? So that's why when we start seeing the Hiranyakashipu stories, you will start seeing a lot of these parallels that start coming about. The intention, but I said, the only thing difference is you put a positive sign to something, you put a negative sign to something of hatred versus bhakti. But both of them here, he is now saying, I have only one thing I have to do in my life. I want to go meet that Narayana, and I'm going to go all over the 14 worlds seeking that Lord Narayana and nothing else. Right? And then he goes on to this with the path. So anyway, this Dasakam comes to an end saying, Oh Guruvayurappa, you who only show yourself to your devotees, who Hiranyaksha is also a devotee here because he's going seeking, right? So he says, please eradicate my ailments also. So this Dasakam comes to an end. Tato jaleshat sadrisham bhavantam, nishamya babhrama gaveshayamstvam bhaktaika drishyaha, put a is, drishyas sa kripanidhe tvam, nirundhi rogan marudalayesha. Tato jaleshat sadrisham bhavantam nishamya babhrama gaveshayam stvam bhaktaika drishyas sa kripanidhe tvam nirundhi rogan marudalayesha.
ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य भभ्राम गवेषयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्यस्य कृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्दिरोगान् मरुदालयेश.
Third line.
ततो
Bhaktaika drishyas sa kripanidhe tvam.
भक्तैकदृश्यस्य.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य भभ्राम गवेषयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्यस्य कृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्दिरोगान् मरुदालयेश.
ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्राम गवेषयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्यः सकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश. ततो जलेशात् सदृशं भवन्तं निशम्य बभ्राम गवेषयं स्वां भक्तैकदृश्यः सकृपानिधे त्वं निरुन्धिरोगान् मरुदालयेश.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay, we'll go to Dashakam 12. Dashakam 12 is Varaha Avatara Varnanam, incarnation as Varaha. So whatever we did till 11, that story ends for now there. 12 is going to be a completely different story. And then in 13, 11 and 12 story will intersect. Okay, so right now Hiranyaksha is out there looking to see where that Narayana is. And he goes searching for a really long amount of time. That's all.
Rajesh,
Yeah.
different question.
இப்போ
இந்த ஹிரண்யாக்ஷலா பிறக்கிறாளோ இது was that also predetermined இந்த திதி போய் காஷ்யபாட்ட கேட்கறது, or was that like a consequence, or was this predetermined? இவா பிறந்து இந்த மாதிரியா அவதாரம்?
it's one of those things which is like, it's not an easy question, only because everything that happens is because of so many different things that happen, right? So in the, like, you could say that it gets into the discussion of where is the predetermined thing versus free will, all of those things, right? So certain things like this, it's a combination of multiple things which come. So it's not a simple answer, it's a long explanation. The simple thing you can think of is, yes, there is a little bit of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, and the Jaya Vijaya, which Bhagavan says it was intended for that to happen, because of which that happens, because of which they are getting born. At the same time, there's a different karma that's happening between Kashyapa and Diti, because of which they behave like that. And these two things are intersecting, right? So it's not a simple thing of everything is pre-planned. It's a combination of multiple of these things coming together at certain points in time, right?
Right.
And now, maybe did not directly answer your question, but it's not as simple as saying everything is pre-planned, right? There's always
Right.
this concept of free will that you have. But when the free will intersects destiny of something else which is predetermined, then both of these come together, right? Think of it that way.
Okay.
Because when Jaya Vijaya incident happens, and when Diti and Kashyapa come together, there's several years or thousands of years that go between that. So it's not like it all happened at an instant, right? So it is like that is determined for something to happen, and then the time has to be apt for that to happen, which happened between Diti and Kashyapa at a certain point in time. And so these things all came together.
So they're karmas. Okay.
Exactly. Answer 12, stanza 1. Swayam bhuvo manurato janasargashilo drishtva mahima samaye salile nimagnam srashtaramapasharanam bhavadangri seva tuštashayam munijanai sahasatyaloke. So I intentionally kept telling a few times that Earth is not yet there, Earth is not yet there, right? Because we now, in the end of Dashakam 10, we saw how from Brahma, Swayambhuva Manu, and Shatarupa, a person who's male and a person who's female come about. And then those two, Brahma said, go and create population in the Bhuloka, in that plane, right? Create human-like population, right? To Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. So now this Swayambhuva Brahma is telling Manu that you have a role to play. So Bhagavan has told Brahma, you have to go expand creation, which Brahma does. All these demigods, Gandharvas, we saw all of those things. And then for Manu, he's telling your role is to grow the human population. So this Manu is now going and saying, okay, I'm here to serve you, O Brahma, but tell me, where should I create the human population? Because out of the 14 worlds, the Bhuloka plane in which I'm supposed to create the human population, I don't see any planet there for me to go create the human population. There's no place for me to go create it. The reason for that is because in that plane, the Earth was still not yet there in its orbit, literally, right? Because here it says, Mahim asamaye salile nimagnam. Brahma is saying, but the Naimittika Pralaya is over. After the Naimittika Pralaya, I've already come. All these 14 worlds are created. But how come there is nothing there, right, in that plane for you to be able to go create humans? So this is the confusion that Brahma has, and that's what first Manu is going and telling Brahma. We'll worry about the confusion that Brahma has, which is next one. So Manu is going and saying, I want to create, but I don't know where to create.
பட் ராஜேஷ் லக்ஷ்மி ஹியர் பட் நீங்க இப்பதான் 7:30 தானே கிளாஸ் ஆரம்பிச்சது சோ
இன்னைக்கு 7க்கு ஆரம்பிச்சோம்
ஓ so I'm so sorry okay sorry I missed it sorry
Swayambhuvo manurato janasarga shilo drishtva mahima samaye salile nimagnam srashtaramapa sharanam put a comma bhavadangri seva put a plus Tushtashayam and then put a comma. So one comma in the third line after Sharanam, then plus at the end of that line, Tushtashayam, comma, Munijanaihi, put a is, Munijanai Saha Satyaloke. So Swayambhuva Manu goes to Satyaloka, where Brahma is going and, talking about his problems. Swayambhuvo manurato janasargashilo drishtva mahima samaye salile nimagnam स्रष्टारमापशरणं भवदङ्घ्रिसेवा तुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके
स्वायम्भुवो मनुरथो जनसर्गशीलो दृष्ट्वा महीम समये सलिले निमग्नां स्रष्टारमाप शरणं भवदङ्घ्रि सेवा तुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके स्वायम्भुवो मनुरथो जनसर्गशीलो दृष्ट्वा महीम समये सलिले निमग्नां सृष्टारमापचरणं भवदङ्घ्रिसेवा तुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके.
And moving on the third line, Srashtaramapa Sharanam.
सृष्टारमापशरणं
Yeah, and then there's a comma also. Okay, Srashtaramapa Sharanam.
शरणं
स्वायम्भुवो मनुरथो जनसर्गशीलो दृष्ट्वा महीमसमये सलिले निमग्नां स्रष्टारमापशरणं भवदङ्घ्रिसेवा तुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके स्वायम्भुवो मनुरथो जनसर्गशीलो दृष्ट्वा महीमसमये सलिले निमग्नां स्रष्टारमापशरणं भवदङ्घ्रिसेवतुष्टाशयं मुनिजनैः सह सत्यलोके.
कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यवनिर्निमग्ना स्थानं सरोज भव कल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेष कथितो मनुना स्वयं भूः अम्बोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तीत्. So now when Manu is saying, okay, I don't have any place for me to create these beings. So he goes to Brahma and complains saying that you told me to create, but that planet where I'm supposed to create is not yet there. So what that means is, like we saw long time back, when the Naimittika Pralaya gets over, where everything gets absorbed and then everything comes back out in its form. At that time, the earth had still not come out after the previous Pralayam destruction. Like we said, all these planets cannot come out of nothing, right? It has to come out of something. So this particular planet was not yet in its orbit. In a very simply put, earth was not in its orbit right now for Manu to be able to create the beings there, right? So, and the way they refer to it, they refer to it as the ocean. They say it's immersed in the ocean. Like we speak about, the ocean doesn't mean the water ocean. It is the matter which is there, like we spoke about in the 14 words, when everything gets absorbed, it is all there somewhere. We spoke about, right? It can't be like nothing ever existed. It existed in the sukshma form, like the form example of a seed which is there, which then becomes a tree. If something is always there in some form, so this is referring to that material energy which was there, but the planet had not yet been formed. So he goes and informs Brahma, Swayambhu, who comes on his from the Nabi of Bhagavan. And Brahma, anytime this confusion or a problem like this is happening, Brahma has only one option. If he doesn't have the answer, he will be like, Tava Pada Yugam Vyachintit. He goes on to a state of meditation to then connect to you, or Bhagavan, to see why this has actually happened and why the planet is not yet there. Kashtam prajaha put is prajas srijati mayyavanir nimagna, comma, sthanam saroja bhava kalpaya tat prajanam ityevamesha khatito manuna swayambhuhu, put a visargan comma, swayambhuhu. Next the ra in the next line becomes a. Amboruhaksha. Amboruhaksha means one who has lotus like eyes, which is referring to Bhagavan. So Amboruhaksha tava padayugam vyachintit. Kashtam praja srijati mayyavanir nimagna sthanam saroja bhavakalpaya tat prajanam ityevamesha katito manuna swayam bhuhu ambhoruhaksha tava padayugam vyachintit.
कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यव निर्निमग्ना स्थानं सरोज भवकल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेव गतितो मनुना स्वयंभूः अम्बोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तीत्
Third
कष्ट
one, first word, ityeva me sha sound.
इत्येव इत्येवं
You
मे
said
इत्येव
neva.
मे oh yes
Just change it to sha if you have a va there.
इत्येव
Ityeva.
मेष
Yeah.
oh इत्येव मेष okay कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यव निर्निमग्ना स्थानं सरोज भव कल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेष कथितो मनुना स्वयंभूः अम्बोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तीत्
कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यव निनिर्मग्नाः no कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यव निनिर्
No. Mayyavanir nimagna.
मय्यव निर्निमग्न
Yeah.
कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यव निर्निमग्न कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यव निर्मग्ना स्थानं सरोज भव कल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेष कथितो मनुना स्वयंभूः अम्भोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तीत्.
Vidya, know that first line again. That Mayyavanir is one word. Mayyavanir nimagna.
मय्यव निर्निमग्ना.
Correct.
कष्टं प्रजा सृजति मय्यव निर्निमग्ना स्थानं सरोज भव कल्पय तत्प्रजानाम् इत्येवमेष कथितो मनुना स्वयंभूः अम्भोरुहाक्ष तव पादयुगं व्यचिन्तीत्.
We will continue. Just switch halfway here. Lakshmi, you can be a student, and Suganya, you can be a student. Answer 3. Ha ha vibho jalamaham nyapibham purastat adhyapi majjati mahi kimaham karomi ittam twadangri yugalam sharanam yatosya nasa putat samabhava shishukola rupi. So Brahma is thinking, like in Dasakam 9, we saw this where we said it says Brahma drinks all the water and the wind. And they said the meaning of that means that when there's what you call this chaos or unmanifested thing, he's taking things under control, because drinking means you're clearing everything up. So he, all this energy, which was all these things which were non-existent, which then became existent again. Brahma had already done that. So he's saying, I've already gotten my day one, this day, 51st year, first day is already started. I have already cleared everything up. All these beings are already there. These devas are there, asuras are there, all these other planetary, everything is there. How can there be no earth for Manu to go create beings? So he's wondering, why is this happening? So when he's contemplating on why this is happening, then he says, Sharanam Yatosya, from his nasa putat, from his nostril, a small being comes out from Brahma's nostril, which is like a form of a small boar, which is coming out from the nostril of Brahma. When he's contemplating and meditating on Bhagavan, suddenly this creature is actually coming out of Brahma. So that's why it says, Nasa Puta Samava Shishu Kola Rupi. Rupi means form. Shishu means baby. Kola refers to like a boar. So a small baby like boar is coming out of the nostril of Brahma. This is coming in Satyaloka right now. Haha vibho jalamaham nyapibham purastat. Put it. Purastat. Next line, the dadyapi becomes adhyapi. So adhyapi majjati mahi kimaham karomi itham twadangri yugalam sharanam yatosya, put a plus, nasa putat samabhavaha, put a ish, samabhavash shishukola rupi. Ha ha vibho jalamaham nyapibham purastat adhyapi majjati mahi kimaham karomi ittam twadangri yugalam sharanam yatosya nasa putat samabhavash shishukola rupi.
हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यपिबं पुरस्तात् अद्यापि मज्जति मही किमहं करोमि इत्थं त्वतङ्घ्रियुगलं चरणं यदोऽस्य नासापुटात् सम्भवः शिशुकोलरूपी हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यबिबं पुरस्तात् अद्यापि मज्जति मही किमहं करोमि इत्थं त्वतङ्घ्रियुगलं चरणं यदोऽस्य नासापुटात् समभव शिशुकोलरूपी
हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यबिबं पुरस्तात् अत्यापि मज्जति मही किमहं करोमि इत्थं द्वदङ्घ्रियहलं शरणं यदोष्य नासापुटात् समभवः सुषुकोलारूपी.
And the samabhavash ish sound will come instead of the visarga.
Bhavash.
Samabhavash shishukola rupi.
भवशुशिकोलरूपी हा हा विभो जलमहं न्यबिबं पुरस्तात् अत्याभिमज्जति मही किमहं करोमि इत्थं द्वदङ्घ्रियुहलं शरणं यदोष्य नासापुटात् समभवः शिशुकोलरूपी.
Stanza 4. Angushtamatra purastate bhuyota kumbi sadrisha samajrumbhatastum abhre tata vidamudiksha bhavantamuchaihi vismeratam vidiragat sahasunu bhisvaihi. So first, when this boar comes out, it says Shishukola Rupi. It was a form of a small baby boar. So the size of the boar is like it says Angushta Matra, means size of a thumb. I don't know whose thumb, human thumb, or maybe the big beings is Bhagwan's thumb, but doesn't matter. It was a very small being which came, right? Which comes out of Brahma suddenly. And then all of a sudden it then becomes bigger in size and it starts becoming bigger and bigger. Right now it is becoming much more bigger. So all the Brahma and all the sages who are there are now wondering what is this that is actually come out suddenly. So Angushta Matra Vapurutpatitaha, put a F, Vapurutpatitah Purastat, comma, Bhuyota Kumbi. Kumbi refers to an elephant. It just means it's becoming much more bigger. So from like the size of a Angushta, from the size of a thumb, it is becoming like several times magnified and becoming like the size of an elephant. Kumbi Sadrishaha, put a is Sadrishas, Samajrumbhatastvam, Abre Tatha Vidham Udikshya Bhavantamuchaihi, put a visarga and comma there, Bhavantamuchaihi. Next line, there is a ir on top of Vismeratam, that will go away. Vismeratam Bidiragat Saha Sunubihi, put another is Sunubhis Swaihi. Angushtamatra Vapurut Patitah Purastate Bhuyota Kumbi Sadrishas Samajrumbhatastvam Abre Tatha Vidamudiksha Bhavantamuchaihi Vismeratam Vidiragat Sahasunu.
अङ्गुष्टमात्रवबुरुत्पतितः पुरस्तात् भूयोदकुम्भिसदृशः समजृम्भदास्त्वम् अप्रेतदाविदमुदीक्ष्य भवन्तमुच्चैः विस्मेरतां विदिरकात् सहसुनुभिस्वैः.
The second last word, Sahasunu, long U.
Oh, Sahasunu Bisvaihi. Okay. Sahasunu Bisvaihi. Angushtamatra Vaburut Padidaf Purastat Puyoda Kumbi Satrushas Samajrumba Dastvam Apretada Vidamudiksha Bhavantamuchaihi Bismiratam Vidirakat Sahasunu Bisvaihi.
Sahasunu.
Oh, Sahasunu Bisvaihi. Okay.
Angushtamatravabhrutpadida purastat bhuyoda kumbhishatrushah samashrumbhatatsvam अपरे तथाविधमुद्दिश्य पावन्तमुच्चैः विस्मेरदां विधिरहात् सहसूनुभिः स्वैः अङ्गुष्टमात्रवभुरुत्पदीदः प्रस्तात् भूयोद कुम्भिशतृशः समसृम्भतात्स्वम् अप्रे तथाविधमुद्दिश्य पवन्तमुच्चैः विस्मेरदां विधिरहात् सह सुनुभिः स्वैः.
Wherever the visarga is coming, right, we have to put the joining letter. Like the first one, patita, it becomes a F there. Second line, saditaha, becomes the is there. And again, last line, sunubhis swaihi.
Swaihi.
Okay. You just literally write that letter there and keep, so you don't say the visarga there. Okay. That's fine. कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्थितो मे नासा पुटात् किमु भवेदजितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्तयति धातरि शैलमात्रः सद्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्. So this Brahma is wondering, Brahma, Marichi, all these other sages, Satyaloka are wondering, what is this thing that has come from my nostril? Like, how can something suddenly come from your body like this, right? And then that thing which has come from a nostril, it has suddenly become much more bigger. It has become like taken a huge size. So Brahma knows anything like this unusual happens, it has to be the Maya of Bhagavan. It has to be his role which is actually happening. So he's then also wondering, who is this? What has happened here? So as they are contemplating, this is becoming even more bigger in size. So relatively speaking, it says from the thumb, size of a thumb, it becomes like the size of an elephant and eventually becomes the size of a mountain. But in reality, you cannot describe the size of the Varaha Avatar because you'll see relative to the size of the earth, what the size of Varaha Avatar is going to be in Dasakam 13, right? So it's a huge size we are talking about here. So, but for Brahma in Satyaloka, it's becoming bigger and bigger in size. And then it's emitting a roar to say that I have actually arrived right now. So none of you asked me yet how Varaha Avataram is coming earlier, but I'll tell at later point why it's not Matsyam Kurmam Varaham, which is the way you normally say. But that's not correct. But I'll cover that a little bit later. Anyway, so this is the incarnation of Bhagavan coming as Varaha, and he's becoming bigger and bigger in size right now. Kosavachintya Mahima Kitiruttito me, comma, Nasa Putat Kimu Bhaveda Jitasya. If you want to break it, it's Bhaved Ajitasya, but you can say that word together. Bhaveda Jitasya Maya Ittam Vichintayati Dhatari Shaila Matraha, comma, Sadyo Bhavan Kila Jagarjita Ghora Ghoram. कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्थितो मे नासा पुटात् किमु भवेदजितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्तयति धातरि शैलमात्रः सद्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्.
कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्थितो मे नासा पुटात् किमु भवेत् जितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्त्यति दातरि शैलमात्रः सत्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्.
Third line vichintayati.
विचिन्तयति सरि. कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्थितो मे नासा पुटात् किमु भवेदजितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्तयति तातरि शैलमात्रः सत्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्.
कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटिरुत्थितो मे नाशा पुटात् किमुपवेदजितस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्त्यति तादरि शैलमात्रः सत्यो भवन् किल जगर्जित घोरघोरम्.
That's the third line again, and the word Vichintayati. Vichintayati.
Yadi. कोसावचिन्त्य महिमा किटुरुतितो मे नाशापुटात् किमुपवेद जिदस्य माया इत्थं विचिन्तयदि दादरि शैलमात्रः सत्यै भवन् किल जहरच्चिदघोरघोरम्.
Fourth line, first word, sadhyo.
शत्योपवन्किल जहरच्चिदघोरघोरम्.
That's a 6. Tamte ninadamupakarnya janastapastaha satya sthithascha munayo nunubur-bhavantam tatstotra harshulamana parinadhya bhuyah tohyashayam vipulamurtiravatarastvam. So then when this avataram happens and then it emits out a roar, so all the beings who are in all the top worlds, Satyaloka, Janaha, Janaloka, Tapaha, Tapaloka, all of the beings who are there, the rishis which are there, they all realize that this is an incarnation of the Lord, because nothing can just suddenly come like this and change shapes and take up a massive size. So they all realize it's an incarnation of the Lord, and then they all do prayers to the Lord. And now, like we said, you imagine that 14 worlds which are there, the layers of the 14 worlds, and we said all of that is within this Brahmandam, which is shaped like an egg, not a physical structure outside, but shaped like that. Now the bottom of that Brahmandam is like that Garbhodakashai ocean, we said, which has got just all of that unmanifested energy from which things come for that Brahmandam. So now we are in the topmost region, Satya Loka, and anything which has not yet taken shape and it is unmanifested form is at the very bottom of this Brahmandam. So this Varaha has to come all the way from the top of the Satya Loka to the bottom of the Brahmandam, because that's where anything which has not yet manifested a particular shape is residing in Sukshma form as nothingness, right? That is there, which we see in space. When you say nothingness, there's always some material energy which is still there, which is at the bottom of this 14 world. So this Varaha is going all the way, it's going to come all the way down, right? And then from that, we're going to see what's going to happen. So that's what is happening. So he's coming down, and all these sages are praising Bhagavan here.
Rajesh, one question. Hiranyakashipu was, I thought, Narasimha Avataram dane.
Hiranyakashipu, we just said Hiranyakashipu was born. We didn't talk anything about Hiranyakashipu.
Okay.
So it's Hiranyaksha in Dasakam 11 who is going around looking for Bhagavan.
Okay.
Hiranyaksha was the one. Hiranyakashipu no varla. 24, 25
Okay.
Rajesh, one more question. இது எல்லாமே சத்ய யுகத்துல தானே நடக்கிறது. Now we're all talking about Satya Yugam, right?
We are very specifically on the Dashakam 6 or 7 when I talk about the timelines. I spoke about the Manu timeline, and then I talked about the Yuga, right? Yes, it is in Satya Yuga of Swayambhuva Manu. First Manu, right? So when you speak about the sequence of avatarams, first of all, when somebody says this mirrors Matsyam Kurmam, I'll answer that thing right now, which I said. When they say Matsyam Kurma Avataram mirrors the evolution, you should say no, that's not right. Evolution is evolution. These avatars have nothing to do with the evolution. Okay? Because all these beings are already born. Right from upfront, we saw from Brahma, all these demigods were born. From Brahma, all these beings, Swayambhu Manu has come. All of them have already taken birth. There's no necessary that, Matsyam Avataram has to come and first establish. Matsya Avataram is only going to come between the transition of the Chakshusha Manu, who is the 6th Manu, and the Swayambhuva Manu, who is the 7th Manu, who is the current Manu. At that time, only Matsya Avataram is going to happen, where Bhagavan takes the form of a fish. Doesn't mean fish did not exist before, right? Here, so in the sequence of avatarams, the first avataram which is happening is where Bhagavan is the Purusha from whom everything comes, which is we saw in Dashakam 5 when nothing was there, and we saw the first manifestation of it happen. And then we spoke about the Virat Purusha, where the Brahmandam was formed, and then we described the body of the Lord as all the 14 worlds being body of the Lord in Dashakam 6. That is the 1B avataram, where within this Brahmandam, that Bhagavan is Virat Purusha, he's incarnating for all the 14 worlds to be born. The second avataram is the Varaha avataram, where this is beginning of the first Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, Satya Yuga.
Oh, first, இப்பதான் first manu ஆரம்பிக்கிறது. Okay.
First, Swayambhu on the first line of the Swayambhu
ஆமா, Swayambhu. Yeah.
Tojana
Okay.
Sargashilo. He wants to create, he doesn't see the earth.
Okay, சரி.
Right? So this Varaha Avataram has two purposes. One of them is to restore earth in its orbit in the current kalpa of Brahma. That's number one. And second is to get rid of Hiranyaksha.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the right sequence. That is what is there in Srimad Bhagavatam and all of that. This is the sequence that is there. Somewhere along the line, somebody starts misinterpreting and putting the sequence of this avataram, that avataram, fish came first, tortoise came second, nothing like that. Varaha avataram is what's going to come next. Adukapra several avatarams are going to happen, and only then, what do you call, Kurma avataram is going to come. Only then Matsya avataram is going to come. So they all come because Bhagavan can take any shape. So there's nothing. Why does he have to take the shape of a boar? He wanted to take the shape of a boar. That's it. Right? He could have just imagined it in his mind and all of this thing could have happened. Right? But Bhagavan takes different avatarams so that other beings can also experience all these things that are actually happening. Otherwise, all of this, the entire world is getting created out of Bhagavan like this. So he doesn't have to incarnate to get rid of Ravana. He doesn't have to incarnate to get rid of Kamsa or to do Varaha, right? So all of this is happening so that everybody is able to experience and then talk about these things and get closer to Bhagavan. Otherwise, we'll have nothing else to talk about to some extent, right? So you can think of it that way also. But anyway, so that's why these powers, you can't say, how can a boar come from Satya Yuga and go all the way down the 14 worlds? Because it's not a normal boar. It's Bhagavan was decided to take the shape of a boar. That's all, right? So tamte ninadam upakarnya janas tapaha, you have to put a is there, janas tapastaha, comma, satya sthithascha munayo nunuvur bhavantam tat stotra harshulamanaha, put a f, harshulamanav parinadya bhuyaha, put a visarga comma, bhuyaha. Next line, the is will go away. Toyashayam vipula murtira vatarastvam. That's one word. Tamte ninadamupakarnya janastapastaha satyastitascha munayo nunuvur bhavantam tatstotra harshulamanav parinadya bhuyaha toyashayam vipula murtira vatarastvam.
तं ते निनादमुपकर्ण्य जनस्तपस्ताः सत्यस्थिताश्च मुनियो नुनुवुर्भवन्तं हर्षुलमनाः परिणत्य भूयः तोयाशयं विपुलमूर्तिरवातरस्त्वं तं ते निनादमुपकर्ण्य जनस्तपस्ताः सत्यस्थिताश्च मुनयो नुनुवुर्भवन्तं तत्स्तोत्रहर्षुलमनाः परिनित्य भूयः तोयाशयं विपुलमूर्तिरवातरस्त्वम्.
A third line, parinadya.
Oh, parinadya. Okay.
Tamte ninadamupakarnya janastapastah satyastitasta munayo nunuvurpavantam tatstostra harshulamanaha parinatya bhuyasto toyasham Murtiravadarastvam.
A third line, Suganya, Bhuyaha, we are at a visarga there. Bhuyaha, and next line, the will go away.
Bhuyaha toyashayam vipula murtiravadarastvam tamte ninadamupakarnya janastabastah tatyastitasta munayo nuvurpavantam तत्सोस्त्र हर्षुलमनाः परिणत्य भूयः तोयाशयं विपुलमूर्तिरवादरस्त्वम्.
Bhuyaha, third line.
भूयः तोयाशयम्.
Stanza 7. ऊर्ध्व प्रसारि परिधूम्र विधूत रोमा प्रोत्क्षिप्त वालदिरवाङ् मुख घोर घोणः तूर्ण प्रदीर्ण जलदः परिगूर्ण दक्षिणा स्तोतॄन्मुनीन् शिशिरयन्न बतेरितस्त्वं तत्त्वम्. This talks about the shape, how Varaha looked. He talked about, when he's going down from the Satyaloka all the way down. He's very dark. The hair which is standing on top on his body is dark red in color. And then his eyes are big and rolling eyes. It's got a bowl, it's got a snout which is actually there, which is, very fierce snout that is there. And with it, he's going, heads down. He's actually going all the way from Satyaloka all the way to the bottom. And then the rishis are praising. Now the rishis, the stuti that the rishis do are going to come in Dasakam 13, where they're going to compare this Varaha to a yajna that you do. That's why it's called as a yajna Varaha Murti, right? Some of you might know. So that description is going to come in Dasakam 13, but they're doing this praise here. Urdhva prasari paridumra vidhuta roma, protkshipta Valadiravang, ing sound, Valadiravang, Mukha, Ghora, Ghonaha, Turna, Pradirna, Jaladaha, put a F to join, Jaladah, Pari, Ghurna, Dakshna, Stotrun, double R sound there, Stotrun, Munin, Shishira Yenna Vaterita. So that word is a long word, we cannot break it. So Shishira Yenna Vaterita Tvam. Urdhva Prasari Paridhumra Vidhuta Roma Protkshipta Valadiravang Mukha Ghora Ghonaha Turna Pradirna Jaladah Parigurna Dakshna Stotrun Munin Shishira Yenna Vaterita Tvam.
ऊर्ध्व प्रसारि परिधूम्र विदूर विदूतरोमा प्रोक्षिप्तवालतिरवाङ् मुखघोरगोणः दूर्नप्रदीर्णजलदः परिकूर्णदक्ष्णा कूर्णदक्ष्णा स्तोतृन्मुनीन् शिशिरयन्नवतेरिदत्वम् ऊर्ध्व प्रसारि परिधूम्र विदूत रोमा प्रोत्क्षिप्तवालतिरवाङ्मुखघोरगोणः दूर्नप्रदीर्णजलदः परिकूर्णदक्ष्णा स्तोतृन्मुनीन् शिशिरयन्नवतेरितत्वम्
ऊर्ध्वप्रशारि परिधूम्रविदूदरोमा प्रोक्षिप्तवालदिरवाङ्मुख घोरगोणः दूर्ना प्रदीर्णजलतः परिपूर्णदक्ष्णा स्तोतृन् मुनीन् शिशिरयन् नवतेरितत्वम्.
Correct. The third line Jaladah, if sound.
Jaladah. Okay. ऊर्ध्वप्रशारि परिधूम्रविदूदरोमा प्रोत्क्षिप्तवालदिरवाङ्मुख घोरगोणः तूर्णा प्रदीर्णजलतः परिकूर्णदक्ष्णा स्तोतृन् मुनीन् सुशिरयन् नवदेरितत्वम्.
Antharjalam tadanu sankulanakra भ्राम्यत्तिमिङ्गिलकुलं कलुषोर्मिमालम् आविश्य भीषणरवेन रसातलस्तान् आकम्पयन् वसुमतीम् अगवेशयस्त्वम्. Like we spoke about, like this being a boar. That's why it says, all creatures are from Bhagavan. There's nothing like one creature is better or one creature is bad. Everything is come from Bhagavan. So every creature is equal. And here, one of the reasons for why they say the incarnation came as a boar was at a very high level. If you think earth is not there, and we said it's all in unmanifested form. Unmanifested form means it's comparable to something which is not there, which is dirt, which is there, from which something very tangible is going to come out, right? So what the boar is an animal which digs through earth with a tusk and then digs stuff out. So because Bhagavan is going to come all the way down to the Garbhodaka ocean and then going to restore earth to its current form, because he's coming down and digging and taking something out at a very high level comparison, that's why he says he took the form of a boar to do that. That's one way to think about it, right? But like I said, whether he takes the form of a boar or he takes the form of a fish in this case or anything, it doesn't matter. He's not bound by any of the rules, right? Because his entire Brahmandam came out of his energy. So everything has come out of him. So he can control time and space or gravity any way he wants here, right? So anyway, this boar is going all the way down. And then there from the Garbhodaka ocean, it is now going to restore earth. Antarjalam tadanu sankula nakra chakram, comma, Bhramya timingila kulam kalushor mimalam Avishya Bhishana Ravena Rasatalastan, put in. So Rasatala, which is one of the lower worlds which are actually there. So everybody there is getting frightened because this, the Varaha is coming all the way down. Rasatalastan in, comma. Next line, the na becomes a. Akampayan Vasumatim. I'm just breaking at the ma. Vasumatim Agaveshayas Tvam. Antarjalam tadanu sankula nakra chakram Bhramyatimingilakulam kalushor mimalam Avishya bhishana ravena rasatalastan Akampayan Vasumatim Agaveshayastvam.
अन्तर्जलं ततनु सङ्कुलनक्रचक्रं भ्राम्यत्तिमिङ्गिलकुलं कलुषोर्मिमालम् आविश्य पीशनारवेन रसातलस्तान् आकम्पयन् वसुमतीम् अकवेशयस्त्वम् अन्तर्जलं ततनु सङ्कुलनक्रचक्रं भ्राम्यत्तिमिङ्गिलकुलं कलुषोर्मिमालम् आविश्य पीशनरवेन रसातलस्तान् आकम्पयन् वसुमतीम् अकवेशयस्त्वम्.
अन्तर्जलं तदनु शङ्कुलनग्रचक्रं प्राम्यत्तिमिङ्गिलकुलं कलुषोर्मिमालम् आविश्य भीषणरवेन रसातलस्तान आहम्पयन् पशुमदीमहवेशयस्त्वम्.
A third line, Rasatalastan, and then comma. So you can pause there.
Okay. Andarjalam tadanu shankulanaggrachakram Pramyattimingilakulam kalushormimalam Avishya bhishana ravena rashatalastana aham payan vashumadhimaha veshastvam
Agaveshayastvam.
Ahaveshayastvam.
That's a nine.
I just have to, I just want to mention, this is the first time in the Mari slokas and everything, Timingilam அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து நான் வந்து ஸ்லோகத்துல வந்து இது பண்ணுறது. ஸோ நம்மளோட புராணாஸ்ல வந்து அப்போயே இந்த திமிங்கிலம்லாம் இருக்கிறது, it's very interesting. This is my first time encountering
Yeah, I mean, this in this context, because Bhatripad is a poet, he kind of talks about when he's going into the water. But remember, there's no water as in physical water like we see there. There's the Garbhodaka ocean. So he says there's everything there, right? But there's here Timingla literally referred to the whales here. But he's just saying in a poetic sense, when you go underwater, you find a lot of things, but you don't find what you're looking for. So that's what he's using it as a comparison here to say, when Bhagavan goes under the Garbhodakashayi ocean, he's going beyond the Rasatala, Talatala, all of that Patala, he's going down, and he's going and looking to say, how do I restore this earth back he's seeing all these unmanifested things. So that's what all these Timingalam and all of them are given as examples, but that doesn't mean there's necessarily a whale floating in the Garbhodaka ocean though. But yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay.
It's kind of like a metaphorical.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. Answer 9. दृष्ट्वा तदैत्यहतकेन रसातलान्ते संवेशितां झटिति कूटकिटिर्विभो त्वम् आपातु कानविगणय्य सुरारिखेतान् दंष्ट्राङ्कुरेण वसुधाम् अदधा सलीलम्. I'm going to say the meaning of 9 and 10 together. So here, so Varaha then, he now has to restore earth. Like we said, it remains in a sukshmam form, like after the Naimitika Pralaya, and then all of this have to come out. It comes out of something, but then the planet is getting formed. And it says, you Varaha are lifting this earth very easily at the tip of your tusk. Right? Like I spoke about the Varaha Avataram, we cannot define the size of the Varaha Avataram, right? And here, some of the things we have to understand is why they are saying you are lifting it with the tusk, right? Because the tusk is something that is white, like Ganesha has a tusk, it refers purity, right? So essentially, earth which was unmanifested, the planet itself was not there, not habitable. Now we are going to make it a planet which is habitable, in which human beings are going to be created. So this tusk is kind of symbolizing something which is pure. So from the Garbhodaka ocean, which is representing unmanifested energy, you are creating a planet which is much more cleaner and manifested. And it says you are lifting it at the tip of your tusk. That just shows that as a Bhagavan, you just have infinite potential and energy, that even something like the size of an earth is nothing compared to the amount of strength you have. Right? So he says in the next one, he says it's like a krida. You do it like a simple play, right? As if like a real boar, when the boar is carrying a small twig or a small stick at the tip of its tusk. It's a play for the boar. Similarly, for you, Bhagavan, getting earth in its orbit was just a child's play for you, right? But then you still had to take an incarnation to get it to action, right? So that's with this Dashakam comes to an end, saying, "O Varaha, please eradicate my ailments also." Like I said, the purpose of the Varaha Avataram is two things. One is to establish earth in its orbit, because everything else that we're going to see from now on is going to happen in the earthly plane. Till now, everything that was happening, that's why I kept telling all of this is not happening in earth. Kashyapa is not in the earth. Diti is not in earth. Hiranyaksha is not in earth, because the earth itself was not there prior to this, right? And then so this is the end of the Varaha Avataram. The incarnation as Varaha is in this chapter. Drishtvat daitya hatakena rasatalante, samveshitam jhatiti kuta kitir vibho tvam apatukana vighanaya. If you want to break it, that na, apatukan avighanaya, if you want to break it, surari khetan, damstrankurena vasudham, I'm breaking at that ma, vasudham adadaha, put the is to join, adadhas salilam. दृष्ट्वा तदैत्यहतकेन रसातलान्ते संवेशितां झटिति कूटकिटिर्विभो त्वम् आपातु कानविगणय्य सुरारिखेतान् दंष्ट्राङ्कुरेण वसुधाम् अदधा सलीलम्.
दृष्ट्वा हतकेन रसातलान्ते संवेशितां झटिति कूटकिटिर्विभो त्वम् आपातुकानविकन्य सुरारिकेटान् दंष्ट्राङ्कुरेण वसुधाम् अदधा सलीलम्. For a second. दृष्ट्वा ददैत्यहतकेन रसातलन्ते संवेशितां झटिति कूटकिटिर्विभो त्वम् कूटकिटिर्विभो त्वम् आपातु कानविकन्यसुरारिकेटान् दंष्ट्राङ्कुरेण वसुधाम् अदधा सलीलम्.
A third line, viganayya.
Oh, viganayya. Sorry.
दृष्ट्वा ददैत्यहतकेन दृष्ट्वा ददैत्यहतकेन रसातलन्ते संवेशितां झटिति कूटकिटिर्विपोत्वम् आपादुकार्णविकनन्यशरीरकेटान् तं श्राङ्गुरेण वशुतामदात शलीलम्.
The third line, surariketan.
सुरारिकेटान् दृष्ट्वा दतैर्हदेकेन रसातलान्ते संवेशितां झटिति गूढकिटिर्विपोत्वम् आपादुकानविकनन्यसुरारिकेटान् दंष्ट्राङ्गुरेण वसुतामदात शलीलम्.
Last word, vasudham adadhas salilam.
वसुताम् अदातः सलीलम्.
Adadhas salilam.
वसुताम् अदता सलीलम्.
That's it. अभ्युद्धरन्नतधरां दशनाग्रलग्नमुस्ताङ्कुराङ्कित इवाधिकपीवरात्मा उद्धूतघोरसलिलाज्जलदेरुदञ्चन् क्रीडा वराहवपुरीश्वर पाहि रोगात्. It explains you took this Varaha incarnation to kind of get things back in order, and it was a very simple task for you to just lift it the tip of your tusk, like like a boar lifts like a small piece of twig. So similarly, Pahi Roga, eradicating my ailments and diseases should not be a big deal because you're able to restore Earth itself in your orbit. No, our diseases, our problems are nothing compared to that. So, but what is praying, please eradicate my diseases and ailments also in a similar way. Abhyudharanatha, cannot break that word. Dharam, Dashanagra Lagna, put a plus. Mustankurankita Ivadhika Pivaratma. So those two lines are together. Uddhuta Ghora Salilaj Jalade Rudhanchan, comma, Krida Varaha Vapurishwara Pahi Rogat. अभ्युद्धरन्नथ धरां दशनाग्रलग्नमुस्ताङ्कुराङ्कित इवाधिकपीवरात्मा उद्धूतघोरसलिलाज्जलधेरुदञ्चन् क्रीडा वराहवपुरीश्वर पाहि रोगात्.
अभ्युत्तरन्नदतरां दशनाक्रलग्नमुस्ताङ्गुराङ्कित इवादिकपीवरात्मा उद्धोदघोरसलिलाज्जलतेरुदञ्चन् क्रीडावराहवपुरीश्वर पाहि रोगात्. अभ्युत्तरन्नदतरां दशनाक्रलग्नमुस्ताङ्गुराङ्गित इवादिक पीवरात्मा उद्धोदघोरसलिलाज्जलतेरुदञ्चन् क्रीटावराहवपुरीश्वर पाहि रोगात्.
अभ्युत्तरन्नदतरां तशुनाक्लरग्नमुस्ताङ्कुराङ्गित इवादिकबीवरात्मा उत्तुदघोरसलिलाञ्जलदेदुराञ्जन् ग्रीडावराहवपुरीश्वरः बाहिरोहात्.
The third line, last word, Jaladherudanchan.
जलदेरुदञ्चन् क्रीडवराहवपुरीश्वर बाहिरोहाम्. अभ्युत्तरन्नदतरां दशुनालरग्ना मुष्टाङ्गुराङ्गिद इवादिकबीवरात्मा उत्तुदघोरसलिलाञ्जलते सलीलाञ्जलते उदञ्चन् ग्रीडावराहवपुरीश्वरः बाहिरोहात्.
And the Vapurishwaraha, Visarga illenga, Vapurishwara Pahi Rogat.
बाहिरोहात्.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. End the class here today. सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि.
Rajesh, I have
Thank you,
just
everyone.
one quick question. On the 6th Dashakamla, first sentence la rendu visargam varudhu. And the first visargam ha-va irukkanuma, sa-va irukkanuma, sa irukkanuma?
In the stanza? In the 6th Dashakama?
I mean, sorry, 6th stanza in the Dasakam.
6th Dashakama?
தபஸ்தாக இருக்கு.
The first line, Janastapastaha.
Yeah, ama.
Tapaha, you'll have it. You want to put a is to join. Tapastaha.
Tapastaha.
Yeah, because the istaha is coming later. It is coming later. The visarga will also take a is sound.
Okay. Adam ketena istaha vardanaala unnoru is varnumaan adukosam.
Tapastaha.
Okay.
Hey, thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh.